want to thank all of you for joining us today. My name is Phil Blue. I'm the Region 2 Director of the Texas High School Athletic Directors Association. I'm working in joint with Max Kattwinkel, the Region 1 Director, for this meeting today for the Texas High School Athletic Directors Association. I want to call the meeting to order. Thank all of you for taking the time on your busy schedules to be with us today. I know many of you are preparing for playoff volleyball, playoff football, and Max and I have been trying to find a convenient time to discuss Texas High School Athletic Directors Association business and reach out to everyone. So thank you for being here. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Rusty Dowling to introduce our state sponsors.
All right. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Max. Appreciate being here with both regions this morning, Region 1 and 2, combining to do this meeting. And these meetings are always very informative. They're always very good. And it's the best we can do under the circumstances as they are right now. So we just appreciate the time being together. I want to go ahead and introduce our state sponsor. Field Turf has been a very strong supporter of the THSADA and athletic directors in general in the state of Texas. We have a nice long history with them. They've been involved with us. Well, I'm 8 years into the job, and I know they were involved before I got here, and certainly have been very active with the athletic directors since I've been on board. So they are a strong advocate, again, for athletic administrators, our student athletes, our coaches, et cetera. We're just very, very pleased with the involvement of Field Turf. So I'm going to turn this over to Chris. I'm going to turn this part of it over to you, Chris, and we appreciate you being here this morning.
Thank you, Rusty. Phil, Max, appreciate you all having me on here today. Appreciate the opportunity to address this group of people. Just want to, first of all, just say thank you. Thank you for your support out in the market. Thank you for what you do for the citizens of the state, for the kids that you touch and you impact every single day. I was a coach for many, many years myself. Matter of fact, met Phil at a convention out in Anaheim, California, many, many years ago. Rusty's right. Our relationship does go a long way back with the Athletic Directors Association in Region 1 and 2, particularly. We installed Dick Bivens Stadium out in Amarillo in 1998, and our company took off from that. So again, I'll be brief. Again, just thank you for the work that you all do. And I say on the kids, but it's also on our communities, on our state. It's immeasurable, the impact that you all have. So thank you. I did want to say that I know you all were talking about budgets a little earlier. I've had my eye on the bond elections that have been going on, and from what I can see, building bonds are passing and athletic bonds are failing. If any of you have replacements coming up and you're trying to find a creative way to address that, we've got a program in place right now that provides 0% financing for the turf portion of it for up to 3 years. We can also finance construction if you've got new construction going on, but a removal and replacement of a surface, we can finance that turf for 3 years at no charge. The other thing would be if you're needing to disinfect fields or facilities with this virus among us, we've got a program in place to do that as well. Again, my name is Chris Patton. I've got all of North Texas. David Ross is our regional manager that handles the Panhandle. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. We again appreciate our relationship with all of you, and just thank you so much for what you do. So Rusty, Phil, Max, I'll turn it back over to you and just again say thank you.
Thank you, Chris, and we appreciate your partnership with our organization and all that you do to help serve us. And thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Phil and I are trying to be real cognizant of everybody's time, and we are going through the same things that you all are as far as the challenges we face daily, and so we know there's a lot on everybody's plate that's watching today. We just kind of wanted to get together, share some things with you, give some reports, and then get some feedback and information from everybody so that we can hopefully take something from this meeting and use it in the challenges we face every day. Region 1, we're going to start out with our committee reports, and Kenny Kattwinkel from Friendship ISD, if you'll start us off and give us a membership report.
Looking at the membership, it looks like we have 950 people involved in that, which is great. I think the big thing we want to keep trying to do is finding more people to get involved in it. I found out the easiest way that we grew quickly was getting our middle school coaches and middle school directors involved in it as well. And that kind of helped us out. And it actually, we're going to keep doing that as well. Another question that comes up that I really can't answer offhand, I need probably some information. The big thing they say is what do we get out of this? What does it cost? Things like that. You know, what happened? Where does the money go? Things like that. Is there a way that we have a sheet that tells them what the perks of this would be for? So we can I can have that, or I can just shoot it back to them and say, this is what this is all about. This is how it's going to take care of, us, that type of deal. Do we have any forms or anything like that that we could use to help us with those questions?
Yeah, Kenny, we've got if you go to our website, we have a benefits of membership description on our website that's pretty comprehensive. And Allie, who runs our membership program here, can certainly get you information that lists all the benefits of being a member of the THSADA. So it's on the website, and if anybody does want to look at those, Allie can certainly provide those for you as well.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Kenny.
Thanks, Kenny.
Okay, Stan Strobel from Dumas ISD, and he's going to give a policy report.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And I'm just going to kind of summarize the report off of the UIL webpage on some of the proposals that they acted upon or didn't act upon. They're going to delay a pilot for water polo. Probably felt that this year was not a good year to start that. They're going to do some studies on adding a 2-week break-in period for the pitchers and catchers before baseball starts. Maybe get their arms strengthened up beforehand. So be looking for those studies. They're going to survey, letting schools, flexibility of when their strength and conditioning and the sports specific skills. They're going to send out surveys for that. They also are going to survey to see if they, the idea of adding 60 more minutes to the strength and conditioning outside of the regular school day. And then they didn't take any action or denied or rejected to create a separate conference for volleyball, softball, and baseball for the Class A division. They same type of deal on a $5 increase on officials for next year, and then a proposal to adjust the junior high athletic start time. And then the standing committee on policy went ahead and passed a resolution to expand the authority of the UIL executive director and over something I've never heard of. Maybe you guys have, over COVID-19. Anyway, they're giving him or those guys the authority to make some decisions that they normally wouldn't be able to.
All right. Thanks, Stan. I know that's, it seems like the information coming out of policy changes daily, and with the COVID-19 pandemic, but appreciate your report. Andrea Fluman from Amarillo ISD, if you'll give us a publications report.
Good morning. I just completed our Region 1 publication. Region 2, you don't have someone in your spot, so I apologize. I did not reach out to you guys and try to help you out on yours, but I did submit. Mike Meeks from Lubbock provided information on Plains Capital Park, Lowry Field at Plains Capital Park, which started their reconstruction in 2013. And it's a wonderful facility for hosting regional meetings when we get to meet in person. And then, of course, track meets and football games and things like that. And then Eric Wilson from Borger submitted Bulldog Stadium and like their turf room and their weight room. They have a wonderful facility, great pictures. And then from Amarillo ISD, I submitted some information. We just in September got approved for turf fields at our baseball and our softball fields. And Coach Thiessen heads that up out of our office. And of course, now with softball and baseball moving up, that timeline just got a little more squished. And so I guess I should have started with that our topic was facility features. And then I was supposed to do with facility development during that COVID-19 era. And I'm sure at some point, all of y'all are experiencing deadlines changes, bleachers don't show up, you've got a game. And so COVID's just created issues, but it will all be in publication. I think the printed version comes out in January. So I appreciate you guys submitting pictures and things like that.
Thanks, Andrea. And then last Region 1 report goes to JJ Johnson, and he is giving the officials report.
Thank you, Max. Good morning to everyone. Talk about our favorite subject, officials. Talk about this year first. We are in this year with the $5 increase across the board. And we had some issues with the sub-varsity basketball, but I believe we got that fixed before this year started. So it was 5 years across the board for every sport. In scrimmages, I think that's also something in place right now. Scrimmages were a $25 increase, up from 75 to 100 for a 3-hour scrimmage. And then I believe it's $75 for each additional hour, which was up from $50. But I think those are in place right now. Other things to make sure we're thinking about during this COVID year is we do a pretty good job if there's after the game, somebody tests positive. We do a pretty good job of notifying the ADs and the coaches and all that, but we're also, we need to make sure we're notifying the officials if there is if they officiated a game where there was a positive test participated. So we got to make sure we're taking care of the officials to let them know. As far as this year for officials, most everybody across the state having a shortage for obvious reasons. And then you throw in quarantine and people tested positive. There are some shortages around the state. We've been pretty fortunate around here to not feel the effect too much of that. But they have asked to get creative with schedules. We got basketball coming up. Maybe play some. What we've done is we've split up our middle school girls on Monday, boys on Thursday to help them. But some of the basketball districts are even playing on Wednesdays and Saturdays because of the shortage. But with the cancellations and rescheduling, I think we're going to have to be flexible and working with those officials as far as assigning them. Moving forward next year, as already been mentioned by Stan, they voted to not go forward with the another increase. Originally, they had asked for $10 and they got $5, and then they were supposed to next year, the 21-22 school year, supposed to get $5 more, but that was delayed. But with that being said, they are trying to help with the official shortage by having a long-term solution for them for pay increases. And Mike Fitch from THSADA has presented some of the things that he's interested in and that he's put out. He's got a $5 increase for the 22-23 proposal for the 22-23 school year. That would be $5 for varsity and then a percentage for the sub-varsity. So it may not be a total $5 for subvarsity, maybe $3 or $4, but he's kind of basing that off of like a 6%, 6 to 8% increase. And then after that, they would skip a year, and then the following year in 24, 25, ask for another $5. So they're kind of asking every other year to come with a $5 increase. That's tough for us to think about with our budget cuts, but at the same time, we're going to have to do something because of the shortage of officials. But if you got any comments on that, you're welcome to call or email me. And Del Van Cox at Abilene, he's been wonderful to work with as far as officials from the Region 2. But Max, that's all I have right now for officials.
Thanks, JJ.
From Region 2, our committee reports, we'll start with Mark Baker from San Angelo ISD for membership.
Good morning, all. Hey, I'm going to try to piggyback off what Kenny was saying. Like I said, we have 950 members, and in Region 2, we have 53. And if you have any questions, just kind of remind everybody to reach out to Allie and make sure that you do renew your membership. We put in place, the more people you can sign up, the cheaper it is. So that's always been a good thing for the association. But it's kind of all we have. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Coach Baker. And the awards committee from Ector County ISD, Bruce McCrary.
Yes, sir. The virtual Hall of Fame will not be done in December. Those candidates, inductees, will be rolled over to the June meeting, and we won't have any 2021 inductees. These inductees will be done in June. The other award winners will be done in March at the what do we call that? Spring sponsor showcase. We have in Region 1, the Regional Athletic Administrator of the Year was J.J. Johnson from Lubbock, and Region 2 is Tracy Bogart from Ector County ISD. The PBK Athletic Director of the Year was Rodney Chant from San Angelo. So congratulate all those people. If you have any questions, let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. And from the TAC committee, Jared Womack from Stephenville ISD.
Thanks, Coach Blue. The Texas Athletic Administrator Certificate, which is our professional development. It's available right now. Last year's worth, the 1920, are available on the THSADA website for all members to view. You will not get credit for those, but there's some great information in there from a lot of great resources for athletic directorship. Our conference agenda schedule is available online. We have 7 different sessions, 7 different sessions that will have a panel of presenters. We need questions for these sessions. I encourage you as members to review the agenda and schedule and submit any questions. You can send those to me and here in Stephenville, and I will get those passed on to those TAC committee members so we can get that set. But it's a great wide range of information, allows us to hear a lot of different speakers about the hot topics right now as athletic directors, and just challenge you to include any questions and send those to me so we can have a great agenda moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Womack. I guess at this time we'll move into our panel discussion. Thank all of you committee leaders for those reports. When Max and I were working on a date for this, we talked about regional business. Sent out a questionnaire about some of the things that are important to our membership right now. Obviously, a lot of them dealt with the COVID and how you're doing things. And so that's kind of how we shape our panel questions. And so our panelists for today are Kenny Kattwinkel, Jeremy Williams, Bruce McCrary, Ryan Rhodes, Jared Womack, and J.J. Johnson. And so the questions were shaped from what our membership sent to us. And so we'll just start. And this first question is for Kenny Kattwinkel. And Folks that are in the webinar, if you have a question, feel free to type it in. And then one of these panelists or someone can address it or answer your question. But this first question for Coach Kattwinkel is, what has been your biggest challenge in managing contests and venues during the fall due to COVID-19? And then what procedures have you put in place to overcome these challenges?
We had a couple big challenges that really hit us pretty quick. But I think the biggest challenge was the struggle of trying to make sure that participant parents were able to get into the games, and at the same time that we're able to keep that 50% capacity. And we struggled with that. We had a bad night one night. We had a bunch of people came in and we weren't prepared for it. So what we ended up doing is using a voucher system. We started out with a voucher system, and that's where the parents of the participants would receive a voucher, and they would be able to guarantee that they could get into the game. At the same time, because of the voucher, we could actually dictate how many people we were going to allow in, and that would give us the chance to maintain our 50% capacity. We did that for a while, and then we found out that we found an online platform that came up, and they set us up where we could maintain our capacity, and how we knew how many people were in, how many people were leaving out. So that was one of our big ones that we ran into, and we finally got that done, and now it's pretty easy. And we didn't know how easy it was to use that online system, and it really helped us out. Another one that we had was with our platform, we wanted to again make sure we maintained our capacity, but the problem was we had 4 gyms in one facility. So people were going from one gym to the next gym. We couldn't keep our capacity. So again, we went back to our online platform, Hometown Ticketing, and they set it up that where we could make that happen. If you were in the main gym and you wanted to go to the JV gym, you could do that. But what we would set up is a dead ticket, we called it, on our online, and then you would take that in. And it would keep the capacity keep us understanding the capacity that we had. So those were our big pieces. And I think that was the one that really, like I said, we've had a couple other, mishaps, but that was the biggest one we were not prepared for. And I think we took care of it pretty well once we got involved with the online platform.
Thank you, Coach Kattwinkel. When we decided on our panelists, one of the things that we were trying to do was make sure that we covered a broad range of size of districts. And so I have the same question for Jeremy Williams of Wall ISD. Coach Williams, what has been your biggest challenge in managing contests and venues during the fall due to COVID-19, and what procedures have you put in place to overcome these challenges?
Yeah, I think what Kenny said was really the big challenge there is, controlling capacity and who's getting in. We did go with Hometown Ticketing as well, and that was a great platform as far as allowing pre-sale tickets to parents and participants of our games to football, band, and cheer, and allowing them to get a pre-sale buy, because our capacities are quite limited compared to, say, Ratliff, Fort to San Angelo ISD. So that was a big challenge for us, but allowing those parents to get the first buy at those tickets and then going from there and then opening up to general admission. Ironically, the big challenge we have is our participant gate, where our players go in and out of the field. Our students discovered that gate, and so they were blowing up capacity by all sneaking into that gate, even caught some climbing over the fence. So, just adding staff to monitor some of those things became a big deal, and making sure that our capacities were controlled. A lot of our smaller schools where we visited this year, some good ideas I saw, with bands and whatnot, were participating. Bands can affect capacity, so they were putting chairs down on the track even to allow for that additional capacity in the stands for parents to get there. I think the biggest challenge with what's going on right now, especially as we move into indoor sports more. Volleyball, for whatever reason, at the small school level, the capacities haven't been that big of an issue. Basketball, I feel like will be. We just have better attendance at those games. And the mask fatigue that people of West Texas are experiencing, they're tired of it, for whatever reason. It's not something that they want to do. So, Outdoors, we, have required those to come to games to wear their masks into the game. And then socially distance in the stands, you're outside, and allowing people to make adult decisions on what they do with that. But indoors, we're still requiring those to wear masks. And I know everybody that's been at a volleyball game and everyone that will be at a basketball game now, those are challenges with what we have seen. And then crowd control. The biggest challenges we've seen with our students, and I've been real pleased with our entire student body, with our teachers, our students. They've done a good job of masking and doing those things, because our county health department here in Tom Green County has really been working well with us as far as, the contact tracing and whatnot. But if you follow protocols and do those things, I feel like you can control what you can control. We all know we can't control who's going to get this stuff. It's going to happen. The positives are going to be there. So we've been really diligent in trying to control the contact tracing by masking when and where we're doing those kind of things, to try to limit that number the best we can and try to keep our kids on the field and the floor as much as possible.
Thank you, Coach Williams. That is great information. Our next question is for Bruce McCrary. Now that volleyball season is coming to a close, what changes or adjustments in procedures will you make in preparing for basketball games at your home venues?
We learned a lot with volleyball, and that's helped us plan for basketball. We've, first thing was talking to our basketball coaches and getting them to understand the processes. A basketball coach or any coach is focused on one thing, and his team and his event. And so getting the coaches to understand that there's a whole lot more that's going on behind the scenes that has to be done in order to allow him to do what they want to do. So we moved our boys, changed our schedule to where our boys and girls aren't playing at the same site on the same night. And that's helped a lot. I think our crowds would be too big for us to be able to handle that, to handle 5 or 6 games in 3 gyms. Because our satellite gyms, our capacity for 50% or less is about 60 people in those small gyms. Where in the big gym, it's about 600. So we've adjusted that so that the boys are playing away while the girls are in town. We're also not utilizing dressing rooms. So when you come play at one of our gyms, you need to come dressed because we're not allowing visiting teams to utilize dressing rooms. So those are the big things that we've adjusted to. We've spent a lot of money on signage. We've spent a lot of money on all the COVID things that you need. And we're also spending more money on staff to work those events. So, all of this year for all of our events, we'll be spending more money than what we normally spend. And we're also taking in less money from tickets. So it's not very balanced, but that's kind of what we've done with basketball.
Thank you, Bruce. Same question. Ryan Rhodes, Plainview ISD. What'd you learn from volleyball season? What adjustments may you make for basketball season? You're on mute, Ryan.
The biggest adjustment we're still trying to make, I think, is communication. I mean, all that Coach McCrary said is true. We have lots of signage. We do lots of things, but every school district has a different approach to COVID. And the way we communicate with the teams that are coming in are really important because, for instance, our superintendent is adamant that we're going to temperature check everybody that walks through the door. Nobody else is doing that. And so if we don't alert those teams coming in, well, we don't do that when we're at home, and those things can escalate really quickly. And we've done a better job, I hope, of communicating that as we've gone along. Obviously, all the same problems everybody's talked about, making sure the family gets tickets before anybody else. We're actually clearing the gym after every contest, and our district has split our boys and girls in basketball so that we don't have 6 games at once. We only have 3. And so clearing the gym will be easier. We won't have to do it but one time instead of 4 times. So that's going to be handy. But I still think the biggest thing that we're trying to do is to make sure everybody's on the same page as to what our district is doing in regard to COVID. I mean, it's all very similar, but at the same time, one thing being different, if one school hammers on masks and the other school doesn't, when we visit or when we go back and forth, it is a communication challenge, I guess I would say.
Thank you, Coach Rhodes. Our last question for these 2 gentlemen. This is for Jared Womack, Stephenville ISD. Does your 4A UIL basketball district have a plan to determine the playoff teams if multiple games are postponed or not made up by the district certification date? And if so, please share what that might be.
Well, the short answer is no. We don't have a plan right now, but we're working on getting one. And this question has really been the biggest one to me. You know, everybody wants to talk about how you're going to reschedule those games. Well, that to me, you know, you can fit those in. Not the UIL is going to allow those school districts or all of us to play games and not restrict the amount of games in basketball. Hopefully you can find ways to get those games in that don't, you know, conflict with the original schedule. Now you might have to play 2 or 3, 4 games in a week, but it's no different than tournament play. You can get in there and you can play basketball every day of the week. But the bigger question is that you brought up is what happens, you know, if you miss the certification date, if you have schools or teams that are shut down and that certification date falls before they're able to come back on the court. You know, in the conversations I've had with my basketball coaches and trying to prod the other coaches in the district to have a dialogue about this, really, you know, there's a couple of ideas floating around there. If you can get your first half played, you could revert back to the first game and just deem the winner or loser of game 1 as the winner or loser of game 2. That would be one option. You know, the big challenge is if you get 2 games in, and however that might fall, you only get half, you know, 5-team district, you get half your district games in the first round. You go to percentages at that point, man, you're going to have, if you won those 2 games, you played good those 2 nights, you're going to have 100% winning percentage. If you have not played very good and you lost them both, you're going to have a 0% winning percentage and play 2 games. So, you know, there's some conversations about, you know, head to head, point differential between common opponents. You know, some of those are the conversations that are going on, but that's the biggest challenge to me. I mean, you're going to have to find a way to have your 4 teams that qualify for the playoffs as clean as you can, as fair as you can, in a world that's not very clean and not very fair right now. So that conversation continues on, but those are just some ideas that have been thrown around, and we're trying to land on some type of answer.
Thank you, Coach Womack. Specifically gave this same question to Coach Johnson of Lubbock ISD because they have schools in 4A and 5A. And so, Coach Johnson, has y'all's districts have a plan yet to solve this puzzle?
We do not have one that, much like Coach Womack, there's been lots of discussion, but we have not landed any of that. And, you know, you guys are part of our district, Max, you and Phil, so you can chime in, but we're dealing with that big time right now in volleyball. We played 4 district games out of 10. Then all of a sudden we had a team get quarantined and they missed 4 games. So we're right now in the process of, like Coach Womack said, you're going to have to play a whole bunch in a short amount of time. We're playing, we have a school playing 6 volleyball matches in the next 7 days, which would end up on a Monday, and district certifications on Tuesday. So if we have a seeding game, we're going to have to jump in there and play a seeding game. We have 1 day to get that seeding game done. And those are all real possibilities. So if something happens between now and then, we don't really have anything totally in place. It could get interesting as far as how we're going to move forward. Now, with that being said, hopefully, since we're experiencing what we're experiencing in volleyball, hopefully we can come up with something in basketball that we can, because it's going to happen. I just don't know a matter of when and where, but I think our district policies say highest winning percentage, but like Coach Womack said, if team's 2-0 and 0-2, and depending on what opponents they played, I'm not sure that's totally fair. But yes, that's certainly an ongoing conversation with our basketball coaches. I've had lots of those conversations, but I don't know if there's a wrong or right answer. I'm sure every district is in the process of coming up with something, and everybody's got different plans. So we're welcome for suggestions. Max, you and Phil, got anything to add about our district?
I would say this, and I'm curious to see what Max, his input would be, but, Rusty, for us, when you discuss basketball versus volleyball, you can play 3 volleyball matches in a day. I'm not sure you can play 3 basketball games in a day in terms of trying to make up a schedule, just the physical, component there, plus our travel. I mean, if we're in the Metroplex or in Austin, you can kind of get some of those things done a little bit easier. So we've got some unique challenges out here in West Texas. If teams don't play games and we don't have equal numbers of contests, trying to determine who those playoff teams will be. It's been a big discussion. Max?
Going along with Phil, basketball is the sport that scares me the most, honestly. Everybody's worried about football and quarantine, but the physical contact and the exposure in basketball to me is even more so. And the travel involved in West Texas, it's going to be an issue. And so I don't have, don't have an answer, but I know it's going to come into play. And, the bus, Phil was talking about bus travel and just travel in general in West Texas. And, currently our football team is under a quarantine, and it resulted from a bus travel incident. And I know Scott is on this at Wichita Falls. They had a similar situation. And so travel is a big issue. We're trying to figure all that out and deal with those issues as well.
I would add this. Coach Cox and myself met with our high school basketball coaches last week and just really kind of prep them based out of the volleyball. And I don't know if your communities are seeing the numbers of COVID positives that we are, but we're seeing a lot. And so we essentially told our basketball coaches, we're going to highly recommend that you wear masks at practice all the time and at your games. Because if you can't do that and you have a COVID positive player, there's a good chance that we're going to have to quarantine a large number of your players, if not your whole team. And certainly that raised eyebrows, but Max said it the best. It's different than volleyball. I mean, it's indoors, but you're breathing hard a lot and you're close. So that's trying to be proactive. That's just one thing that we've told our coaches. We're not telling them you have to, but we're just telling them if you don't, this is what probably is going to happen when we start the contact tracing. Anybody else have anything they want to give before we turn it back to Rusty?
I don't mind speaking a little bit on that, if I may. We had, I was pleased with our district, and Hunter Cooley over at Jim Ned set this up, but he actually called all our basketball coaches together to have a COVID meeting to discuss and get everybody on the same page. I thought that was a good idea of procedures at each facility, where you're going to put, this is something for capacities is, in smaller schools where you're playing 6 games at a location in one evening, what do you do with all the other teams when they're not playing their game? They affect capacity. So there's either room in some of the larger gyms or holding areas in others, or you put them back on the bus and go home. Some things smaller schools have talked about right now are if you can play those district games, regardless of who is in quarantine or who you may not have, if you've got enough players to put them on the floor, 6 players, then you play the varsity game. One thing that each school did was if you are in a game day situation and you have a positive case, our district ball games are immediately delayed one day. Tuesday games go to Wednesday, Friday games go to Saturday, and that gives each school the opportunity to contact trace. I thought that showed a lot of thoughtfulness as far as giving people the ability to say, let's take a little breather here and figure out how we can go to the next day. Districts up in the Panhandle, I know, talking with a coach from Spearman, what they're doing, and this is just ideas to throw out there. They're providing a list of players. So they're saying if you have any of these 7 players on this list that you can play that district game with, you play it. You don't have to postpone that game. So those are just different ideas that have been thrown out, and I thought those were really good. But I think the big thing is what was mentioned. Masking we did in volleyball. We were able to do that, and I thought we did a good job with that. Basketball right now, we're masking in everything except for a scrimmage or a game situation. And that's hard because of the numbers that can be eliminated. But then I think you always have the fallback of the 6 foot within 15 minutes. And if you look at a game situation, it's hard to be around somebody for 15 minutes, but I know there's a lot of other things with the physical contact, the sweat, the spit, those kind of things that will have to be in challenge. So we're actually filming practice and using that film to help with contact tracing if that event comes about. So I just thought I'd throw some of those things out there.
Thank you, Coach Williams. We'll turn it over to Coach Dowling for state business.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Max. First thing is, that's a great job of sharing information. You know, that's the one thing that we have noticed about athletic administrators throughout the state, whether it's in the Valley or Central Texas or Houston or wherever the case may be. Athletic directors are very inclined to share information with each other, and certainly share best practices with exactly what they're doing. Quite opposite sometimes when we were coaching, of which I was absolutely guilty of the same way. You know, you play your cards close to your chest. Well, with athletic directors, and particularly in this COVID environment that we're in, athletic directors have done a very, very good job of sharing information and making sure that our protocols and guidelines and procedures are the best that they can possibly be. And today, this morning, was certainly a good example of great questions, good answers, and everybody sharing information with each other to make it just that much better, because we're going to get through this, and hopefully sooner and better. And we've learned a lot as we've gone along. I'm sure that during the course of these conversations that you have been having, you're like me. I didn't even know, I had no idea what a Zoom meeting was last February. You know, I had no idea what any of this stuff was. I'm a whole lot better educated on it now than I was. I don't know that I've learned a whole lot more. I've just been exposed to a lot more. So, but anyway, this morning was a very good session. Y'all are to be commended for that. Earlier, Stan had touched on an issue that was at Legislative Council regarding Dr. Breidup being authorized to make additional executive decisions on behalf of the UIL. Stan's right. It's a little different move, and the UIL has never done that before. But what it has allowed is expediency with the UIL and making more immediate decisions without having to go through council. And they granted him that authority months ago, but then they just re-emphasized it or re-upped it again to hopefully get us through these last couple of months. So that has allowed the UIL to make some quick decisions. I have a couple announcements here that I'd like to make before I turn this back over to Phil and Max to close it down. Our virtual state conference, and back in February, I had no idea what that meant, but I certainly do now. Our virtual state conference is going to be held December 7th through the 10th. And you're going to be getting information on this, trust me, but on the 7th through the 10th is going to be our virtual state conference. That's Monday through Thursday. And each day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to start that day at 8:45 a.m. with a live session. We're going to have some type of announcements or just general information at that time. So for instance, at 8:45 on Monday, I'm going to come on and do a live segment. And then at 9 o'clock on Monday morning, December 7th, Dr. Elza is going to get on there and provide an hour live session on updates as to where we are regarding any type playoffs, basketball season, football playoffs, etc., at 9 o'clock on that Monday. That same template will be followed on Tuesday, and then at 9 o'clock, the THSADA officers will be online doing a live session. On Wednesday, I will open up that particular morning at 8:45 with a live session. And then at 9 o'clock, the Commissioner of Education, Mike Morath, is going to come on and do an hour on Wednesday morning. That should be very interesting. And then we're going to end it on Thursday with Dr. Breitup doing a live session at 9 o'clock on Thursday. And that's going to be our virtual state conference. Now, some of the content that you're going to have access to, provided you registered for the conference, is we've got a session on Section 21 of the UIL CNCR, where Debbie Decker from Katy ISD does a fabulous presentation on orientation for the district and orientation for each campus. So when school starts in August, or when the fall sports season starts, what they do to get all 750 of their coaches ready to go, she takes us through what that process is. And you know, Debbie does a great job, and Katie with all of that. So it's a very valuable session. One of the other sessions that we're doing is Mike Motherall, who's the chair of the state executive committee, is doing a session. He's doing an hour. And if you don't know anything about state executive committee, now's your opportunity to learn about it without actually having to go through it. And some of you that have been through it know what it's like, myself included, several times. But Mike does a great job of taking everyone through state executive committee and a behind the scenes look on what that looks like. And again, the UIL is going to be doing some sessions for us. Some of you know of Clint Rutledge doing his coaching at its core. Clint is going to do a session for us. And then one of the other sessions that we did is with athletic trainers, revolved around COVID-19 and what it means to athletic administrators and coaches. And Scott Galloway, who's also on our TAC committee and the associate athletic director at White Settlement, does an outstanding job with it. He puts a lot of proactive measures in place that he covers, that he goes over, and it is a great session. So the agenda for the virtual state conference is going to be coming out very soon. In fact, within the next couple of days, and you're going to have the opportunity to look at it, but it's an outstanding agenda. The next announcement is we are putting together and keeping our fingers crossed that we're going to be able to have a new event on March 1 and 2 called the Spring Sponsor Showcase. And basically what that is a day-and-a-half event, and we're going to do it at the new Kalahari Resort in Round Rock, where also our state conference is going to be held. But if you haven't seen or heard about this new Kalahari in Round Rock, it's almost a 1,000-room hotel and convention center. It's right across the street from Del Diamond. If you know where Del Diamond is, it's just right across the street. And we've entered into an agreement with them to host a new event called a Spring Sponsor Showcase that's going to bring together our membership and our THSADA sponsors. We're looking at doing a golf tournament, including a golf tournament in that, also with a scaled down version of our trade show. You know, when you come to our state conference, our trade show is a pretty big event. We're looking at doing a scaled down version of that at the Kalahari. So our membership and our THSADA sponsors are going to come together for a day and a half of professional development, a golf tournament. We're also going to present some of our awards that we've missed out on. Now, Bruce alluded to that earlier, not our Hall of Honor, but all of our other awards we are going to present at our Spring Sponsor Showcase, our 2020 awards. So it's a first time event for us. Information will be forthcoming on that. That's going to be March 1st and 2nd in Round Rock at the Kalahari Resort. And then to end it, our state conference in the future has been moved to June, again at the Kalahari Resort. It's going to be June 6th through the 9th at the Kalahari Resort. And it's going to be outstanding. It's a great convention center, very family friendly. outstanding facilities, restaurants, etc. It's an amazing convention center. And we were fortunate enough that we were one of the very first events that they booked there. So that's a brief rundown on what's going on with the association. Hoping we can get out of this COVID, hoping we can have some in-person events. And we would certainly be looking forward to it like y'all would be too. So that's all I have for you all this morning. I'm going to turn this back over to Phil and Max to go ahead and close it out. But very good meeting today. I appreciate you all being here this morning. So thank you. And Phil, Max, it's back over to you.
Thank you, Rusty. Couple more things, and then I'm gonna allow Max to close us and his final comments. Our next meeting, traditionally, we have had a Region 1 and 2 joint meeting in Lubbock towards the end of January, and so Max and I will be looking at that again. If not in face to face, another virtual. Just want to say thanks to Rusty and Bob and Allie for all they did to help us get this organized and executed. I know all of us are extremely busy. And I want to say thanks to Max for your leadership in Region 1. And enjoyed being with you guys today and getting information from you. Max?
Thanks, Phil. Again, echoing what Phil said, Rusty, Bob, and Allie, thank you for all your help in getting this going, and Phil for organizing it and putting it together. It's been good. I'm going to finish with just from every crisis comes something good. And what we're all going through right now, it's challenging and it's troubling, but there's a lot of good that's come out of it. And if you think about it and look at some of the things, I think the communication, the brotherhood, the sisterhood within our organization has become stronger, leaning on each other and trying to find answers to everyday problems. So encourage everybody to continue to do that, to work together. We're all trying to do the same thing. We're competing against each other, but bottom line is we're all trying to do the same thing. So appreciate everybody's time today. We were trying to be very cognizant of everybody's time, and thank everybody for participating today.